Welcome back to the journey. Money will directly impact your entire self-improvement. So to be more successful, you need money and a lot of it. This is because money is how you save and invest for your future state of living. So we're going to expand on that and also show you how to make a budget that you can start using today to start saving more money. You need to start saving money for two main reasons. It gets you out of tough situations and makes life more stress-free. I mean, that's kind of obvious, but we need to dive a little deeper. What I mean by getting you out of tough situations is that there's always an upfront cost to things. For example, what if you need a down payment for a new car? With that car, you could drive a further distance to a new job that pays a little bit more, but you can't do it with the either no car or the current car you have now. What if a new car would be less maintenance because your current car breaks down more? What if you need a down payment on a new apartment that's closer to the job you have now, or maybe the rent is cheaper or some other benefit? You might even need a new laptop that's more reliable so you don't have to drive to the coffee shop to get Wi-Fi. The idea is that you need money to spend to expand your current and future state of living. If you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're not saving any money, you're not improving and you're going to be stuck forever. Now, this doesn't mean just spend more money in general. You have to make smart decisions to only purchase things that actually improve your current or future way of life. I can assure you your Netflix subscription is not doing this. Having more money obviously makes your life more stress-free, but how? It comes down to peace of mind. Being financially secure can improve your mental health. For example, do you have enough money to cover an emergency? I'm confident that most people are one broken arm or one broken car away from homelessness or poverty. You also get peace of mind because we live in a society and you kind of need money to survive. That's all great, but the biggest benefit to saving your money is that it frees up more time. Time is something you can use to develop new skills, passions, and hobbies which can contribute to getting you out of your situation. But even more than that, you might be able to work a little less. If you can save a decent amount of money, you might be able to work 1, 2, or 5 hours less a week. That seems small, but what can you do with 5 extra hours during the week, or maybe even 20 extra hours during the month? So now you know exactly why you need to budget. If you can save some money and spend it correctly, you can change your life. But before we actually develop a budget, we need to define some terms. There are needs, wants, and savings. Needs is really anything that you have to pay for, and it comes in two different variations, fixed and variable. Fixed needs are things you must pay for that stay consistent, like rent, car payments, insurance, or debt payments. And then there's variable needs that are things you must pay for that do not stay consistent, like your weekly gas, monthly food, or your utility usage. The wants category is anything that you don't need to survive, like streaming services, video games, clothes, jewelry, or even eating out. Because you need food to survive, but you don't need to eat out. It's something you want to do. Lastly, the savings. It's pretty obvious, it's money for your future self. But it does come into three different categories. You have the emergency fund, general savings, and investments. And we're going to talk more about that later during the video. We have our definitions, so now it's time to create a simple budget. And I'm going to show you how this budget is used in three different lifestyles to show that no matter where you are in life, you can budget and you can save more money. As we create the budget, we're going to be using the 50-30-20 rule, which basically means that 50% of your income goes to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings. Now, we're going to dive a little deeper into each category to really see how to allocate your money. There's a major concept of living above or below your means. This relates to how much you're spending in the needs category. If more than 50% of your income is going to needs, you're living above your means, which means that the life you're living right now is not sustainable and you're not on track to grow. You're spending too much on surviving and not enough on living or growing. Conversely, living below your means is when you spend less than 50% of your income on needs. If you're doing this, you're on an upward trajectory and you're growing faster. If you're at 50% even on your needs, then you're just growing normally, not too fast, not too slow. While it's great to know if you're at, above, or below your means, it doesn't do much to just have this fact in mind. Later in the video, I'm going to go over exactly what you should do in each of these different scenarios. No matter where you are financially, you can budget and you can save. Now let's take apart savings. We're going to quickly go over the three terms we defined previously: the emergency fund, general savings, and investments. The emergency fund is the fund you have for emergencies. You want to aim to have $1,000 to maybe $1,500 stored up and that you never touch in case it's a dire emergency. The general savings is the money you save to support yourself in case you lose your job. If something goes bad, you can take money out of this fund to not change your state of living. Lastly, we have investments. This is the money you save to improve your future way of life. This doesn't only mean stocks. It can also be what we talked about earlier, like saving for a down payment or maybe buying a new piece of technology like a laptop. It can also be for be invested in a business. Anything that can really grow and improve your future way of life fits into this category. Wants is the leftover category. Anything that doesn't directly contribute to surviving now or benefiting your future self goes here, like streaming services, video games, or new toys, anything. You can choose to spend this money however you want to. You can even choose to spend some of your wants back into savings to grow even faster. There's an observation you might notice between these three different scenarios. One person gets almost no wants while another person is increasing their savings. This has to do with priorities. If you are struggling financially, you have to reduce your wants. If you're comfortable, you can increase your savings, but you never jeopardize your savings. If you are living above your means, you have to take more money out of your wants and put it into your savings. Even if you are living below your means, you should still contribute as much money to this savings category as possible. There are people I know who can barely pay for their needs, save no money, and then wonder why they're not moving anywhere in life. I get told how good the lettuce smoking session was, and also how depressed they are. How they want to change, but do nothing to do so. Don't fall for this trap. When life gets financially harder, you're more inclined to buy these instant gratification things to feel good after a long day of work. What ends up happening with that mindset is that you go to work, get home, waste the day away until you go to bed, and then wake up for the next day of work over and over again. There's no improvement in that cycle. Don't fall for the trap and don't jeopardize your savings ever. That's the basics for a simple budget. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to go even more in detail to show you how to allocate every penny for when you're first starting out your budget. If you're living above your means, you need to cut out the wants category. Like I just said, you're not going to jeopardize your savings, and you don't need these regulating behaviors like hours of Netflix or hours of social media after work. They're just keeping you stuck and holding you back. If you're living below your means, you're going to contribute that extra income directly back into the savings category. You're never going to increase your wants above 30, and you're never going to reduce your savings below 20. You also want to avoid the lifestyle inflation. Just because you're making more money does not mean you should just directly spend more money and live more lavishly. That just keeps you growing slower and doesn't improve your life as fast as it could be. However, no matter where you are, if you're just starting out, your first priority is building an emergency fund. As soon as you are able to start saving anything, you are going to contribute at least $1,000 to $1,500 in this emergency fund to begin with. After you have the emergency fund, you don't need to contribute more to it. So once you have a $1,000 or $1,500 saved up as an emergency fund, you'll split your savings to 50% general and 50% investments. When you have 3 to 6 months of your income saved under general savings, then you can switch to only spending 25% of your savings to general and 75% to investments and growing. Now that we have your savings on track for basically the next 6 years, we're going to focus on some edge case scenarios. But first, if you're at or below your means, you're basically much good. You're on track to save nicely, you're not burdened by expenses, and you're able to spend money on things that you want to. However, if you're living above your means, there's still some things you can do to take the edge off. If there's any income still going to your wants category, it's probably best to remove it and instead put that income into savings. If your needs are exceeding 70 to 75%, you're in deep waters and you cannot really afford these luxuries you spend every day. Reduce your wants to have more savings. But if your needs are so high that they're accounting for 80% or more of your income, you don't have any wants left and it's time for drastic measures. I know I said never to jeopardize the savings, but at this point you have no choice. If you're at 80% or above on your needs, you're in deep water and you have to start digging yourself out of the situation. After you have the emergency fund, then you're going to start digging yourself out of any debt by paying off the highest interest off first. Then you need to evaluate what purchases can you make, what can you save for that will lower your needs category. If you're living a lavish lifestyle, how do you reduce it? If you're living a normal lifestyle, how do you reduce it? Then the most extreme case you can do is really saving and reducing your utility cost. Save on water, propane, electricity, and all other utilities, and lower the needs as much as possible. And that's it. That's how to create a simple budget and what to do for basically the next 6 years. If this video helped you, give it a like. If you're ready to change your life, subscribe and join the journey. I'll see you in the next one.